is 2:36 in the afternoon. It's Wednesday, November something, 2022. One sec. November 9th. I lose track of my days now. I'm very tired. Under the weather again. Always under the weather. It's never COVID, though. I've gotten sick like 8 times during this pandemic, and I never got, the whole thing, everything got shut down for, All right. Let's get into it. So, you might notice I didn't post an episode last week after I said I was going to post one on the trade deadline. Well, nothing happened. Literally nothing happened. It's kind of impressive, actually. Other than Von Miller getting traded. But in fairness, it wasn't at the deadline. It was the day before. All the Deshaun Watson rumors. Oh, yeah, the Dolphins pretty much have a deal in place. Oh, the Panthers might counter. And then nobody gets them. I don't even know what to make of that. Is there a reason Deshaun didn't get traded? Is it more likely than not he's actually guilty? Does Houston want too much? Houston probably wants too much. That's probably it. Miami might have actually listened to Brian Flores for once. Miami made the right decision, right? You don't dump off on Tua just yet. You really don't. That's an investment you made, and it's something you deserve. Like you yourself and the fans deserve to really flesh out and see what happens. But really, the trade deadline was just boring. Yes, Von Miller gets traded. The Rams now have 3 picks in next year's draft. They took Jared Goff first overall a few years ago, missed on that, and so we're never doing this drafting crap again. I love it. And getting Von Miller, hold on, real quick. They got Von Miller with Denver taking 90% of his contract. So they only owe him $750,000 this year. So they still have $5 million in their salary cap, which means they could still get Odell. We'll see if that happens. The Rams are going all in, but even if they don't win this year, Von Miller is still a good football player. Yeah, he has 4.5 sacks through the first 5 games, and he didn't have one since. And let's see what happened since. He had an injury, and Bradley Chubb was hurt, so he's getting doubled a lot more. Look at that defensive line. You got Aaron Donald, Leonard Floyd. I've been saying Leonard Fournette every time I talk about him, but Leonard Floyd. And now you add Von Miller to that rotation. There's a couple other guys who have been in there getting tackles for loss, sacks. It makes a really interesting thing. It's unfortunate they didn't have him for Tennessee because that's a whole different game. You add Von Miller into that equation, but you know what? Tennessee game was a fluke game. Tennessee's a fluke team. They'll die to the Cardinals at the beginning of the year. Then they'll die to the Jets, but then they'll bully the crap out of the Bills, who are now eating their own crap. And then they'll bully the Rams, who are the Super Bowl favorite. I'll keep saying that. I'll keep saying it while I drink this Pepsi Max. Oh, sorry, Pepsi Zero Sugar. This is not an advertisement. I'm not getting paid for this. Honestly, doesn't even taste special. But the matte black can is sexy. And it's got a lot of caffeine, too. It's like a little coffee, a little Pepsi coffee. Anyways. Yeah, nothing happened at the trade deadline. What the hell? You had the Jets who traded somebody to the Chiefs for somebody. I should say nobody for nobody. They're guys who don't matter. It was a tight end and right tackle transaction. I don't remember who got what or who got which. I could just tell you those guys will never see play. Guys are inconsequential when all the Instagram comments are, wow, this is a league-shaking trade right here. So, yeah, there was nothing to talk about the trade deadline, so, I just naturally didn't make an episode. No, I was just just busy. Busy getting sick, apparently. All right. Last week, NFL Week 9 will go down in history as the day where almost all the favorites got screwed. All the spreads got screwed. You got the Jaguars holding the Bills to 6 and winning. You've got the Cowboys, who at one point were down 27-0 to Denver, who's a football team every other week. It was really a crap show. The only consistent thing was the Ravens going down 14.5 and then coming back to win, and Lamar Jackson throwing for more than Kirk and running for more than Dalvin. So I will use that to segue into Veterans Day, November 11th. Ravens at Dolphins. My mind was just stopping me to tell me it's not Veterans Day. Yeah, it's Veterans Day. Memorial Day's way earlier. Anyways, Ravens at Dolphins. what more Veterans Day than a team that's way more stacked than the other team going into their home. It's probably gonna score a lot of points. Yeah, it's gonna be a weird game. We're talking about fantasy. Because there's nothing to talk about with the game. Like, we know the Ravens are gonna win. It's a question of how much. Talking about fantasy, I'd almost want to say this is the week to fade Marquise Brown. Hollywood, he's been fantasy wide receiver 6 this year, despite their bye week too, which is really impressive. But going up against Howard and going up against Byron Jones, I don't know if that's the play you want to make. I think you want to expect Lamar to be running the ball a lot. I think you probably expect the Ravens to run the ball a lot. I know Lat Murray should be back, but Devontae Freeman should probably still get some tread, probably more tread than Lat Murray this game, just continuity, keeping up with the offense. Things have been going well for them. And Mark Andrews will probably piece up the interior of the Dolphins defense. I'm so congested. I don't want to say I want to get COVID. I'm vaccinated, but it's like, I'm ready to see what other illnesses are out there. I'm tired of these colds. The Dolphins, there's nobody worth playing in fantasy except for Myles Gaskin. Tua can't throw a football, is probably going to have an interception or two. And it'll probably be another boring Thursday night game. Saints and Titans. Saints at Titans. I would say this is the first game Adrian Peterson becomes fantasy relevant. He did score a touchdown last week, but he got no tread. The fact that he even got touches like that, like being on the team for 4 days, tells you enough how much they value him and plan to use him. Adrian Peterson is a guy who always has tread in the tank, but nobody ever wants to sign him for the beginning of the year. I don't know why. I think it's just a thing with older running backs. You want to bring them in for a few games during the regular season when you need them, or maybe for a playoff run like Rams, Todd Gurley, C.J. Anderson situation. I don't know. But this is a game where I would love to say that this is another Titans fluke loss, because that would make sense and be hilarious. But, nah. A.J. Brown's been getting 11 targets a game. He didn't work out for him last game, but, you got Jalen Ramsey on him, and Jalen Ramsey is the perfect corner to play on A.J. Brown, so naturally he didn't play that well. Expect that to turn around a little bit this week. I'd say A.J. Brown is the safe fantasy play. I would venture to guess that Julio Jones against C.J. Gardner-Johnson might be a really great matchup for Tannehill to look to expose, right? And kind of just like let A.J. Brown get his 9 to 10 regular targets against Lattimore. I think Julio Jones will have a good game. I don't know if it'll be his first good game of the year. It might be. I haven't seen his name. He's kind of been irrelevant. The most relevant Julio Jones has been in the last 2.5 years is when he got traded for a second-round pick, and people said that was low value for him. But if it was low value for him, I think we would have heard about him a little more. I don't know. I see him more on NFL Throwback than on the NFL IG. That kind of tells you enough about where he's at in his career. As for the Saints, nobody's fantasy relevant at all, ever. Especially without Jameis. Like, Callaway had something going, but without Jameis, when you're running Trevor Siemian or you're running Taysom Hill can't throw a football. Trevor Siemian, I don't know. He's never been impressive. He's just never been, terrible. Bills at Jets. Do the Bills lose another weird game? Probably not. Unless Mike White's playing. I'd play Mike White in daily fantasy if he's playing. He probably is. Mike White was on pace for another 400-yard game before hurting his, was it his hand, his elbow, something in his left arm. It might have even been his right arm. I don't know. I know nothing about Mike White other than every time he's in, he's electric. Kind of makes that Zach Wilson second overall pick just look weird. I know it's a really quick overreaction, but wouldn't that be funny? I was really hoping Mike White was going to end up staying in and not out for the game against the Colts. And I was really hoping the Jets would win that game, because wouldn't that just be hilarious? New York Jets always have these weird front office, always weird personnel issues. And then finally, when they think they have everything figured out, you get the hot D coordinator at head coaching, you get the hot quarterback out of BYU. and then halfway through the season, you're questioning whether you should bench him for some guy who got cut 4 times last year. It'd just be funny. For the Bills, I don't understand why the Bills stayed with Zach Moss and Devin Singletary, right? It's really, last year it showed up, it was a bad combo. This year it's still just as bad a combo. Josh Allen is still their best runner. It's like you're shooting yourself in the foot. I know in the NFL it's now a passing league and everything like that. Like I'm very well aware. I watch the games. Sometimes I watch Giants games and see why they lose. But I just don't understand why they didn't put anything towards a running back. Like a 3rd-round pick. Could have got like Trey Sermon. The 49ers got Elijah Mitchell in like the 6th, I think. 5th or 6th. Just really weird personnel decisions. Cole Beasley is a good play this week. As for the Jets, I want to say Elijah Moore is starting to break out, but, I mean, the one touchdown was, like, really fluky, blown coverage. The other touchdown was him, so, I mean, if you want to say 40 yards and a touchdown were him and you think that consistency is good going forward, feel free. But, you know, that's why I never judge players off of how many touchdowns they score. Unless you're like LaDainian Tomlinson putting up 30, that's a little bit of a stretch. Unless you're like Todd Gurley, who puts up 18 in a season or 16 in a season, where it becomes an integral part of your game to score 1 a game for your team. Touchdowns are kind of fluky. Like, look at Julio Jones. Julio Jones would be good for like 1,700 yards and 3 touchdowns in a season. We're going Bills over Jets. Easy. Steelers and Lions. Oh, my gosh. Ben Roethlisberger killed me last night. He didn't like to throw the ball. Justin Fields killed me last night. He threw the ball better than he has in his entire life. Steelers will beat the Lions. There's no team in the NFL that has an answer for the Steelers defense. The only team that has an answer for the Steelers defense is the Steelers offense when they decide to not move the ball or turn over the ball or whatever, but they got a really good matchup against the Bears' overrated defense last week. This week, they get a good matchup against the Lions' properly rated bad defense. Always got to run T.J. Hawkinson. I think the boy Freiermuth. I think Freiermuth is now a consistently good fantasy tight end. He's really integrated into the system. Before the bye week, he put up a good tight end game. He put up a good tight end game last week. Last night, is today Tuesday? Yeah, I'm out of it. Last night, Freiermuth had 2 touchdowns, and he's in the offense. And also, like, how do you not start a guy with a powerful name like Freiermuth? One of my fantasy teams, I'm running Hawkinson and Freiermuth. Like, doesn't get much more, like, just strong Viking European like that. Jags and Colts. Yeah, the Colts will put the Jaguars in their place. The Jaguars will have no answer for Taylor. And if the Bills had a running back who was 1/10 as good as Taylor, the Bills probably would have won by 20. But alas, here we are. Josh Allen got beat by Josh Allen. And this week, there is no Josh Allen to bully. It's Carson Wentz, baby. The most electric quarterback in the NFL. Nobody in the NFL will better throw a 70-yard touchdown pass than the next drive. Like, I don't know, like try and avoid a safety and then throw a pick 6. Or maybe get up to the goal line and as he's getting sacked, throw the ball directly into a sprinting linebacker's hands. Like, not even anywhere near any receiver. You only see the complete opposite color jersey. Wentz is just tossing it at him. I would love to be a Colts fan right now because I'd be rooting for Wentz. I love the ridiculous, dynamic, bombastic play style he's got. Too bad he plays so much hero ball. A lot of his injuries throughout his career were just trying to be the hero, being the guy who could stay upright through contact, the guy who's not afraid to throw his ACL directly at a defensive lineman who weighs 150 more pounds than him, you know? It's fun to watch, but God, like, don't you just get a heart attack if you're, like, a coach or GM of that team? All right, I need to go back to my notes. I had... Well, first of all, I'm choking right now. Second, I had disappeared. Run some errands I wasn't expecting to. All right. Who cares about Jackson Colts anyways? Bucks and football team, Washington. So they played in the playoffs last year, and Washington did a really good job and almost won. And now this year, Washington is nowhere near a playoff contender, and the Bucks are better. So what do we expect? I don't know, Bucks by 20, maybe 30. Getting a lot of guys back, coming off a bye week. Vets coming off a bye week, It's better for them. They're going to have more continuity than a young team typically. Young team which needs the flow of week in and week out. Brady's done this before, I think like 23 times to be specific. Give or take one season. Washington does nothing at all better than the Buccaneers from any angle you look at it, except for maybe like not be 36 years old median age. That's an exaggeration, by the way. I like Chris Godwin a lot against Washington. I don't think they have a defensive back who can really stack up. And I think Mike Evans is going to have a lot of his chances in the end zone hobbled by getting doubled with Landon Collins underneath. At least that would make sense if I'm Washington. So yeah, Bucks by a lot, and look for Chris Godwin. Antonio Gibson's back, and after the bye week, he didn't have to run on that shin fracture. He's projected to be bad by ESPN Fantasy and FanDuel Fantasy, but there's no real reason why he shouldn't have a good game, especially if they get him active in the passing game. And I'd imagine they would, because I would imagine that you're not going to be trying to run the ball down Tampa's throats. It's kind of like what they're league best at. So, yeah, I think Antonio Gibson is a sneaky, cheeky play who shouldn't be sneaky nor cheeky. All right, Browns and Patriots. I'm riding with the Patriots here. I'm riding with the Patriots. If Mac Jones doesn't get suspended for that, oh my God, that was so goofy. If anybody saw that, where he grabbed the linebacker's leg and pulled his foot down, it was really kind of trashy. But it's just kind of funny to imagine Mac Jones doing that. I hate to minimize that situation because it's really dirty and messed up, but imagine Mac Jones just grabbing your ankle and trying to give you an ankle sprain. It's kind of funny. He's been playing good football, though. The Browns, though, now that they don't have Odell, Baker's going to go off. Last year without Odell, Baker threw 22-1 after throwing 6 picks in the first 6 games of the year. So, Nick Chubb with COVID, Kareem Hunt still out. I just don't think that the Browns will have the firepower against the Patriots to overload that defense, which has been improving throughout the season. Patriots right now are really trying to make a push for that division. I mean, they're 5-4. The Bills are 5-3. The Patriots could win that division, and it starts at home against the Browns. I like Damian Harris against the Browns. I like Dearness Johnson. I love Dearness Johnson. Anytime I can get a chance to say his name, I love it. And now a game which 2 to 3 weeks ago seemed really easy, and now it's just a little more murky. Falcons and Cowboys. The Falcons have been playing good football the last few weeks. Matt Ryan keeps playing better. And the Cowboys have been playing iffy football. Yeah, they had Cooper Rush 2 weeks ago, but their defense was still iffy. Their offensive line was still iffy. They need Tyron Smith. He should be playing. But the way Denver just eviscerated them, I mean, that was just really hard to watch. I think every really good team is a fluke game or two like that, where you just don't show up in the right headspace, the right way, stuff happens, the right guy gets hurt, the right scheme's called. As much better as the Cowboys roster is than the Broncos roster, sometimes some game plans just work better than others. And if it does go down to a coaching game, I'll take the Cowboys. If it goes down to Tyron Smith isn't playing, I think I go with the Falcons. I don't know. I think it's closer than it should be. Obviously, I'm gonna favor the Cowboys here. The Falcons' defense isn't there yet. It's getting there. It's getting better, which is funny because Dan Quinn was just their head coach, and now he's the Cowboys' defensive coordinator. So, maybe a little Dan Quinn revenge game because Matt Ryan's ran the same offense the last 4 years since the departure of Shanahan. There's nobody I particularly like in fantasy in this game except for the obvious Cordero Swiss Army knife Patterson, who went from being a fun return guy every year to being the guy in the Falcons offense. And it just seems like every few years the Falcons pick a guy. Oh, I sound like Chris Collinsworth. Here's a guy. Yeah, they pick a guy. They just pick a random guy who they bring in to be like a number 2 cog in their offense. You know, Julio's gone. And Calvin Ridley too. They need somebody to eat up all those looks. Who they have a few years ago? They had was it Marvin Jones Jr. was doing some good stuff for them. Before that, well, Todd Gurley still ran like 9 touchdowns for him last year, even though he wasn't exactly exciting. He's still a free agent, by the way. Super random note. So yeah, I'll go Cowboys by a little. Panthers and Cardinals. I don't care if Josh Rosen comes back for the Cardinals. I'm taking the Cardinals. Oh my gosh. Even if McCaffrey plays, I'm taking the Cardinals, dude. The Cardinals are that team. Oh, yeah, we don't have our quarterback. Oh, we don't have our best wide receiver. Oh, our running back 1 gets hurt. It's fine. Our running back 2 is going to drop 40 fantasy points on your head. On your dome. All right? James Conner did his best Christian McCaffrey impersonation last week, except he didn't get hurt. I'm going to take the Cardinals. Easy. There's no Panthers I like until Sam Darnold remembers how to throw a football straight. I miss week 4 Sam Darnold. I miss 5 rushing touchdowns and 6 passing touchdowns. 3-0 Sam Darnold. All right. I hate this new Sam Darnold. Bad news Darnold. Always in a bad mood Darnold. I hate it. Don't like it at all. Honestly, like, Jets fans are, like, smiling right now. Jets fans, for, like, a brief moment, were like, oh, crap, we suck. And then they were like, oh, no, Darnold just did that thing where he was, like, good for a couple weeks and now sucks again. All right. Chargers and Vikings. This has trap for the Chargers written all over it. At least in my opinion. I don't know. Is it really written all over it? Yeah, it is. Well, I'm saying it's written all over it. It's written all over it. Black Sharpie marker. You can see it from a mile away. Vikings are going to beat the Chargers. It's about time for a little Dalvin Cook 3-touchdown game. It's about time for a little Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen going back and forth, piecing up an opponent's defense. It's about time for, you know what? No, this isn't about time. Kirk Cousins isn't playing in a primetime slot. That just makes him like 10 times better. I bought Kirk Cousins wristbands a couple years ago. I was entered into a drawing to win a signed football. I didn't get it, but let me tell you, this wristband right here, it's 2. One is yellow with purple letters, and it says Score and Skull, right? You know, Viking stuff. And then the other, I like Kirk Cousins, by the way. I just want to know, a little Captain Kirk for the boys. The other is purple with yellow letters, all caps. It says, you like that. I like that. The Vikings are going to win this week. If I'm playing anybody in fantasy, it's not Mike Williams. Greatest decision I made this year. I think I said this in the second episode of the podcast. I said I was going to find out whether I was smart or stupid trading Mike Williams. Well, I think I'm finding out I'm pretty smart because I traded him straight up for Tyreek freaking Hill. That's going pretty well for me, man. I gotta say. Pat myself on the back there. For the Chargers, I like Jared Cook this week against the Vikings because I think you're going to have a lot of Harrison Smith bouncing back and forth in between Williams and Keenan Allen for coverage, Patrick Peterson going back and forth depending on whatever their play call is. So I think Jared Cook is going to be the odd man out who they don't really have anybody looking at. And for the Vikings, I like Adam Thielen to be a guaranteed 1-touchdown pick. You want to go for an anytime touchdown scorer and a little parlay action? I think it's Adam Thielen. Thielen. All right, Seahawks and Packers. This game, I have no idea because I thought Jordan Love was great and then he played like crap. And, I mean, maybe with another week in the system, maybe they open up the playbook a little more because that playbook was pretty boring for them. Or maybe Aaron Rodgers plays, but Aaron Rodgers can't practice until Saturday because he's only been immunized against various illnesses and diseases, not vaccinated against COVID-19. Freaking liar. It's kind of like funny. It's kind of like hilarious. I know there's been a lot of opinions about how he's been talked about versus how Kyrie's been talked about, and I just want to say Kyrie did a lot more than Aaron Rodgers, like throughout the last few years. So, of course, he gets talked about harsher. But to ignore the fact that, like, Stephen A. Smith is saying Aaron Rodgers should be suspended, the fact that Shannon Sharp is saying he lied, Colin Cowherd, he lied, like, to ignore that, like, come on. Come on. Let's be real. Aaron Rodgers, if he plays this week, it's like, do you really want to deal with it? Right, obviously he has no symptoms from his COVID, right? He looked pretty good on the Pat McAfee show. But he can't practice until Saturday because of the NFL's COVID rules. Do you really want to run the dice and play him? I don't think you do because the Seahawks still don't have Russell Wilson. I think you trust Jordan Love. And if you trust Jordan Love and stick with it, I don't know who wins this game because Chris Carson's back. You don't have to watch Alex Collins in the magical black visor. Little fun fact, if you didn't know, he wears that black visor because he has like a condition where he gets really bad migraines when he's like eyes are hit by bright lights, like the field lights and stuff when he's running, all that stuff. So that's why he wears that visor, and that visor comes almost at an advantage if you're playing against a defender who's kind of trying to look at your eyes to see where you're going to go because you can't see his eyes. That's why they don't let anybody wear that visor, or everybody would. So I think it's an even match. Even if Aaron Rodgers plays, I think it's an even match. I want to say the Seahawks get the win. That's what I'm going to say. Because I want to. Eagles and Broncos. Broncos come back to earth. Eagles win somehow, some way. The Eagles have picked a new running back to feature every week. It's kind of funny. We got Boston Scott a couple weeks, Miles Sanders a couple weeks. He's hurt now. He had Gainwell a couple weeks. He's been healthy and just hanging out to dry. Jordan Howard, the ghost, the shell of Jordan Howard, came back in equal fashion to Geno Smith last week. Yeah, I don't see the Broncos winning this one. I like Javonte Williams. I think this is the week where he starts getting a little more tread to Melvin Gordon, where we eventually at the end of the year go to full-on Williams action. I am shocked that the Broncos didn't trade Gordon. It would have been nice to at least see Melvin Gordon on like a better team. But it is what it is. It is what it is, dog. I'm going Eagles. Probably by like 3 points. It'll be close. Chiefs and Raiders. I think the Raiders are going to start falling off the deep end. I have a feeling if the Henry Ruggs news doesn't come out that Raiders probably would have beat the Giants. It just kind of felt like something was up. Think about it. They dealt with Gruden a couple weeks ago. They dealt with Ruggs. They had Carl Nassib come out before the season as like the first openly gay player. They have so many news headlines, so many titles. And then they have everybody talking about how all their draft picks since they got the NFL draft guy have sucked. Like Cleveland Farrell, Henry Ruggs now, the corner they just cut. The news around the Raiders is just too much for the team to overcome, And not all of it was even bad news, like I said with Carl Nassib, but it's just having so much news. Nobody talks about Raiders football. Nobody's talking about the fact that Derek Carr could throw 5,000 yards this year. We're talking about John Gruden sent some messed up crap. We're talking about Darren Waller's like 5 years sober. We're talking about Henry Ruggs hit 156 in a 25. It's just... I would hate to be in that locker room. Like what do you... how do you even talk about football? I don't know. So, yeah, I think the Chiefs... This is a good bounce-back game for the Chiefs. I don't care if they won last week. I don't care if they won 2 weeks ago, man. When you're barely putting up points on the Giants, you're barely putting up points on the can't move the ball with Jordan Love Packers, you need a bounce-back game. And this Chiefs team sucks. Like, they really do suck. But they're going to find their way into the playoffs and maybe light a fire up under themselves, And that's Sunday Night Football. Oh, that's Sunday Night Football. I got to watch the Chiefs and Raiders. Oh, God. I'm gonna write a book, Why God Hates Me. This is going to be page 1. That's a joke for my Christians out there. It's a joke. God loves me. God loves us all. The concept of a pious God is very true. Monday night, we got Rams 49ers. I hope there's a Manning cast this Monday. There wasn't last night, and that was awful to have to sit through. I hope there's a Manning cast for this game because I am not going to want to watch this game. All right, the Rams are going to eviscerate the 49ers at Candlelight Stadium in front of all the 60-something thousand 49ers fans, or I don't know, it's California. They might still have some COVID rules where they're at like 75% occupancy. I have no idea. I don't know what goes on in California anymore. It's too much to keep track of. All I know is in California, the Rams are going to travel. I don't even know where LA is in relation to San Fran. I don't know if it's 2 hours, 4 hours, north, south. I have a feeling San Fran is west. They're going out west and probably south somewhere, and they're going to kick the crap out of the 49ers. Gucci Garop is going to look like he needs to stop throwing footballs and start modeling for GQ. Freaking Matt Stafford is going to start pushing for the MVP race, and we're going to forget about that terrible, terrible, terrible loss to the Titans. Cooper Kupp is going to have his way with all 11 of the starting 49ers defenders, including Nick Bosa. He's going to stiff arm him into the ground. Or, at least I'd hope. At least I would hope. The Rams are the best team of football until further notice. Von Miller should be playing, which is going to make stuff very interesting. It's going to be, we might see some art. We might see some art on the field. We might see some, I don't use this term in an inappropriate way or a lewd way. We might see some sexy movement on the Rams defensive line. All right, you're gonna see stutter step and swim move right next to each other, pulling offensive linemen through the running back. I don't know. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. I'm really, 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 really very excited to see this. It's probably gonna suck actually, but I'm still excited to see it. It's must-see TV. Count on the Robert Woods bounce back game and count on Deebo Samuel's first bad game of the season. Oh, goodness. There is nothing saucier than putting Jalen Ramsey on a emerging division opponent wide receiver like Deebo. Deebo, who's on pace for 1,700 receiving yards. I bet when he's on Ramsey, he's not catching crap. All right, he doesn't have the speed to get past Ramsey. Ramsey has the size to get through Deebo. It's gonna be interesting. I bet Ramsey has an interception. I'll actually, if there's a betting line on that, I'll take it because it's not like Jimmy Garoppolo's been playing any semblance of good football this year. Yeah, what are the 49ers anyways? What's their record? 3-5? Oh my gosh. We have to watch this from Monday night. We need a Manning broadcast. I need to watch Eli Manning, who's going to have a minimum of 4 lipper dippers in throughout the game, yelling at Peyton. All right, I'm going to look it up right now. We're going to see if there's a Manning cast. All right, come on, Captain Google. I'm so congested. Why? It's not fun being sick. Especially during a pandemic, everybody just thinks that you have COVID. Eli Manning hit with 3 FCC complaints for putting up his middle fingers during the Manning cast. That was a few weeks ago. God, people are so soft. It's like Eli Manning jokes that a 7-year-old flipped him off, and all of a sudden we gotta freak out. Oh no, my kid saw Eli Manning flipping off the camera. Who cares? Oh my gosh. I'm not just saying this because I have Eli's autograph in multiple parts of my room and 2 different framed pictures of Eli Manning, one of which isn't an autograph, it's a painting. I don't know why I have that. I had it in my dorm. It was kind of hot. It's actually sophisticated, really. Imagine just a nice well put together painting of Eli Manning, and it's the only thing on my wall. It didn't look like a man's dorm or a boy's dorm. It looked like a gentleman's dorm. All right. I still can't find when the Manning cast is happening again. Let me see. I'm scrolling. I should have just looked this up before. I can't find it. It's nowhere. Oh, hold on. Yep, this week through the end of the season, there's going to be the Manning cast for the rest of the season. All right. I like that. Though I don't see a confirmation that it's this week, even though it says it should be. So you know what? I'm just gonna forget about it. They're gonna end up canceling the best thing to ever happen to Monday Night Football because Marshawn Lynch can't stop dropping F-bombs and Eli can't stop flipping off cameras, ripping lippers. Oh, dude. So, okay, I am going to have to say to go to 34 minutes and 25 seconds if you want to hear some interesting conversation about Monday Night Football, because I am going to go off for 2 minutes and I'm going to get off this podcast, all right? Oh my God, I'm so congested. Okay. The Manning cast is the best thing to happen to Monday Night Football. So I'm talking to a couple of my friends who don't like football that much. And I'm like, how do you not like football? They're like, it's the most boring sport. I'm like, what do you mean it's the most boring sport? Football. Yes, football. 11 on 11, 300-pound men running at 20 miles per hour. This is not entertaining. And they're like, they run 3 plays before commercial break. And there's no plays for a minute at a time. And I'm thinking about this as I'm watching football, because for me, I'm watching all the guys get set up, right? I'm like, oh, nice. We got trips, and we got a guy out wide, and we got a single backfield, and the defense is clearly running some form of a cover 2. Looks to be a man, the way they're following the motion across the field. But to somebody who doesn't care about football like that, they're just like, all right, when the hell are these guys going to snap the ball? Right? When are these guys going to snap the ball? Oh, great. All that for a 3-yard gain? Oh, great. All that to throw the ball at a defender and it gets dropped, luckily. Okay, so when's the next play? Another minute? Okay, this is boring. So I get it. Because to me, I love football because I see all this stuff happening. It's like chess, not checkers. It's not like basketball where you're down by 20, but who freaking cares? Just go on a tear and play good defense for 4 drives, and all of a sudden you're only down 4, and it's only been 3 minutes, right? But that's more exciting to people because it doesn't stop. I had people tell me watching golf on TV is more entertaining than watching football. Golf. I love golf, but like more fun than football. Yeah. They don't have commercial breaks. They cut to everybody's shot constantly. You're never not watching action. As mundane and relaxed and you can do this while drinking and smoking this action is. It's not just going to the sidelines, looking at the coaches, talking to each other, bitching off refs. It's action. So what does the Manning cast bring? During those 45 seconds, there's no play going on. They're interviewing celebrities, football legends, sports legends. They're throwing jokes back and forth at each other. They're doing shameless self-advertising. They're violating 4 FCC laws a game. It's fun. Even if it's not like the most like rawacious thing, but how could it be? Ooh, rawacious, I like that word. It's Monday Night Football on ESPN2. All right, it's like, what do you expect them to do? Start like, I don't know, threatening people on TV? Like, no, you're not going to see it. But just to have something going on, something fun and entertaining and still football related going on in between the 45 seconds there's no plays, and then the once a game where there's a challenge or there's a review and it takes them 6 minutes. It takes 7 guys 6 minutes to watch the same exact play over and over and over again from the same angle in slow-mo to confirm the call that we saw live. And they got to do all that. So during that time, they'll be talking about it. They talk to people. They have fun. It makes football more fun because there's more stuff to look at, more stuff to pay attention to. Or to put it on in the background and just have background noise, because you don't even have background noise with football half the time. Obviously, the NFL doesn't want people to see their broadcast as background noise, but the Manning cast gives the game more when there isn't action. If anything, I mean, some of the bits they do, some of the fun they have, it really is like more action. It's just great to watch. So yeah, I hope there's a Manning cast this week. I don't know why I can't find if there is or not. It's kind of like dumb. Like that should be at least posted somewhere. And it probably is, but the fact I can't find it with 3 Google searches. I'm 21 years old. I'm pretty good at using Google and I couldn't find it. Yeah. Anyways, it's the end of this episode. See you next week. I promise this time. I promise. I'm not gonna pull some nothing happened in the trade deadline, so I'm not posting, I think I'm gonna title this flu game episode. All right, take care.